So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tim Profite. I'm a key account manager at Total Materia. Sitting next to me is my colleague, my dear friend, Stefan. And together today we'll be showing you a nice introduction of course, Total Materia. And we will also be showing you all the new developments that we've been working on in the last few months. So it's going to be really nice. Today we're not going to be manually showing you a demo, but we made some recordings so to go a little bit faster than usual. Stefan?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I will be co-hosting, as I mentioned earlier, with Tim this session today. May I please ask you, in case you do have any questions whatsoever during the webinar, you may use the question toolbox on your screens to ask anything, and just stay tuned, sit back.
For joining us. Well, in the last few months, we have done a lot of upgrades to our current solutions, but we also made a lot of new developments as well. And there's only actually one thing that hasn't changed. We're still the most comprehensive international database in materials database in the world. So as you can see right now on your screen, we have 4 solutions. First of all, we have Total Materia Horizon. This is all our reference data coming from reliable sources. So at this moment, we have 80 standard organizations inside Total Materia. They provide us with 37,000 standards. And these 37,000 standards and a lot of proprietary sources are providing us with over 700,000 materials. And this is immensely a lot of material information. Of course, through the solution, you can find the designations, you can do some material selections, you can start comparing materials and find, of course, those global available equivalent materials that you might need. However, we also have some other solutions as well. First of all, our Total Materia Integrator. This is our private data management solutions for the organizations. So a lot of companies out there have their own material information, which they sometimes keep on Excel sheets or PDFs or their own private databases. But we have something called the integrator, where you can add all your test data, your CAE data, your legacy materials. You can also approve the materials that the engineers are allowed to use. This will really help you with the internal workflow as well. However, we also have 2 new developments, and this is one of them is called Predictor. Predictor is a solution which through machine learning can predict values and properties. Because we have so many materials inside Total Materia, we can actually now predict through machine learning what those values and properties are. We have also one more solution called Greenline. This is also very new. Greenline is, you'll be able to find all our compliance data there for materials, substances. Materials is for metals and non-metallic materials. You'll be able to see all the updated regulations, but also very important, you'll be able to import your BOM, your bill of materials, inside the Greenline, and then you'll be able to assess in one time if all of these materials in your bill of materials are compliant according to a few of the regulations. For example, RoHS or REACH or GATL from all around the world. And then last but not least, the life cycle assessment. This topic is becoming really important around the world. You really need to understand what the life cycle is of a material. What are the carbon emissions? Is the material toxic? And all these other topics as well regarding the life cycle assessment. However, today I will be talking about the Horizon and the Integrator, and also my dear colleague Stefan will be talking about the Predictor and Greenline. Also, just one more thing, we're going to send everybody a poll, so you can expect it right now. My colleague Stefan will send it to you guys right now. Please fill it in. You don't have to, of course, but it would really be nice. It's a multi-selection, so you can choose multiple answers. All right, so we are trying to keep up with the developing world out there. So it's so important that we keep on developing our solution. Yes, compliance. Everybody needs to follow the regulations. Sustainability. You need to understand the CO2 footprint, for example, or finding the engineers need to find greener materials. Supply chain, they need to find global, cheaper, available, equivalent materials. Not just finding global equivalents or cheaper materials, but also finding those greener materials again, which you can find through our LCA. Quality departments need to sometimes identify materials through their chemical composition. Yes, so through one of our data sets, you can actually import the chemical composition of the material, and our data set will literally identify this material for you. Simulation, very important. Instead of testing your own materials, which costs a lot of money, you can simply go inside Total Materia to find all the advanced properties and non-linear data which you might be needed. Yes, so this will save you a lot of money as well. And then last but not least, for the design community as well, is the material selection. So through our advanced search, you can actually selection by some criteria, some properties, some temperatures, and then the database will help you find that material that you are looking for. All right. So we try to solve as many material problems, yes. So a lot of the engineers out there are actually using Google to look for material information, or maybe some old books from the 1920s, 1930s. I'm a little bit exaggerating, but okay, you understand what I'm saying. Also a lot of Excel sheets and PDFs, but most of this data is out of date. Yes, you're probably looking at really old data. Also, where does this data come from? Doesn't have a source, doesn't have a reference, doesn't have compliance information. Is this information still accurate? Can you still use this in your calculations? You know, there are so many questions out there that you do not know. And then through Total Materia, every month of the year, we update our database with the newest available material information, coming from reliable sources, coming from those standards, and coming from those proprietary sources, which means you'll always have the newest updated material information available. Also, you'll be able to compare materials very fast. You'll be able to analyze materials fast. You'll be able to create a list of materials and create a PDF to justify that material decision that you want to make. So again, just to highlight Total Materia again, we have a lot of reference data. Because we have so much reference data, you'll be able to find easily global alternative materials. You can share information, you can create reports, you can do material selection, identify materials. You can find joints data, welding data, corrosion data, weatherability data. You'll be able to see if that material you're going to use is compliant according to a certain regulation. And all of this data that we have inside Total Materia, you can so easily upload onto your simulation tool. For example, ANSYS or Abacus or Creo or anything that you might be using. And if you don't have access to these tools, very simply, you can just forward it to an Excel sheet and keep it on your desktop or forward it to your colleagues. All right, this sheet is just to boast actually how much information that we have inside Total Materia. 80 standard organizations and 37,000 standards and growing each month. A lot of European, North American, and Asian standards which are very important. And because we have so many standards, you'll be able to find a really easy equivalent material which you might need. But not only just standards, but a lot of proprietary data as well. So this proprietary data is actually providing us those missing gaps of information that the standards don't have, but also providing us with a lot of non-metallic materials as well, which is really important. Polymers, composites, fibers, and even wood you'll be able to find. So we made a small recording. It will go a little bit faster than usual, so bear in mind. I'm just going to press on play and start the recording. And while it's recording, I'll just say a few words. So at the top here, you'll be able to see all our data sets which we have available inside Total Materia. Let's start with a total search. We have a quick search, a advanced search, standard list, and the material discovery. Quick search is only and only meant for material designations, alphanumerical and numerical material designations. So please don't write in the quick search any standard numbers or heat treatment or producers or any groups of materials. Please, this is only meant for designations. We also have our advanced search to do a material selection. we have the standard list. Standard list is meant for to find the standards, of course, which makes completely sense. So in the standard list, you can add the standard number, and then you'll be able to find the standard with a description and the materials which are being defined by that standard. All right. So I'm going a little bit faster than the recording. That sometimes happens, not a lot. So inside the quick search, you'll also be able to choose a type of material, a group of material. Do you need a ferrous, or non-ferrous, or maybe an aluminium? You can choose the standard. Which standard do you need? You can multi-select them and also choose a producer. So we're now going to fill in the material designation 304 and click on the standard AISI standard organization. And then already you can see how much data we have inside Total Materia for this material 304. You can see so many mechanical properties, physical properties, all the equivalent materials in the cross-referencing table. And on the right-hand side, all this other extra data coming from other sources. We have two kinds of synthetic view and deep view. Synthetic view is a quick view. You see the properties with the minimum to maximum values according to a certain temperature. Detailed view is you'll be able to see all the references and choose the condition and find the full data with all the conditions, values, and properties as well. Also, a lot of advanced properties and nonlinear data, but first we're going to show you the microstructures that we have as well. Oh my God, that went really fast. Just to go back again. Here we go. So here you'll be able to see the microstructure with the general information, but also a lot of stress strain curves coming from other sources. Also welding and joints data. You'll be able to see the chemical composition of the weld and the joint as well with some properties, but also a lot of fatigue data as well. Also creep data and isochronous stress strain, and also allowable stress, which is really important. In our corrosion part of the database, you'll also be able to see a lot of corrosion data. So you'll be able to choose the medium, the concentration, and the property type that you're looking for, and the database will find you that information that you're looking for. This is just an example of the ISO versus the corrosion part, so just for you to know. So we're going back to the main material, to the mechanical properties, and in the middle, you'll be able to see the references where we got the information from. On the left side, the temperature, and on the right-hand side, what I said before, you'll be able to find the condition selector to choose the form, the heat treatment, the property that you might be looking for. So in the recording, we're going to look for some form wires, and then when you scroll down, we have 70. Actually, we also chose the temperature, and we have one condition selected, and then you get to see property information coming from that one condition. A lot of the conditions also have diagrams. If that condition has a lot of multi-points with different temperatures and values, we will create a diagram for you to take a look at. You can hover with your mouse over the diagram and find all the information that you need. You can also export all the diagrams onto the diagram comparison view, so you can actually compare up to 8 diagrams in one time. These are only time temperature dependency diagrams. And then again, all the information that we have inside Total Materia, you can then forward to your report builder to justify that material decision that you are making. So that's really important. So we also have, of course, the export functionality, which I mentioned a little bit before. So you can click on export to CAX, and then you can choose the solver that you are using. For example, ANSYS. But we have, I think, 27 solvers inside Total Materia, which you can choose from, also including Excel sheets and also including a XML format as well. So actually, you can choose the properties that you're looking for, choose the condition, choose those values and temperatures, and once you've chosen that, you can export it, and then it will be, you can upload this exported version onto your ANSYS or other CAE tools. All right. I need to press pause because the recording is going too fast. So we're now going to the cross-referencing table where you can find equivalent materials. So first of all, we have over almost 3,000 equivalent materials just for this material 304 from the AISI standard organization. 51 are identical according to the standard. 38 of those are official according to the standard organizations. So these two first tabs are probably the most important tabs where you can find an equivalent material from. Then we have composition 100%, standard equivalents coming from other sources, implicit, and last but not least also our smart cross, where you will be able to find a similar material. So just beware of that. Smart cross is made through algorithms, and this will find you a similar material. So we're now going to find a standard. We want to find a standard from the GB, equivalent material from a GB standard organization. And we click on GB, and then you get to see automatically that it has been filtered. So we now have 10 materials in our list that is coming from the GB standard organization, and their equivalency is official. So we literally have 10 official equivalents coming from the standard organizations. Of course, if you want, you can compare these standards one by one or up to 100 materials at the same time. Compare the mechanical, physical, mechanical properties, put them side by side, or even add them to the report builder or bring it to a file. It is not a problem. You can also take all of those, forward them to your list builder, save the list, and if you want, start comparing these materials through our material comparison view, the property comparison view, the analytics comparison view, whatever you might want to use. At this moment, we're saving this list, and the saved list you can also save and share with your colleagues. So any list of materials you can forward to your colleagues for them to take a look at as well. All right, so we're now going to our advanced search. Advanced search is material selection. So through our advanced search, you can actually select a group of materials. You can select the type of material, the standard, maybe some other, maybe some text search, for example. But you can also add some properties. For example, mechanical, physical properties, or maybe some special search in maybe heat treatment diagrams as well. Once you've added this to your advanced search, yes, actually, we actually saved an advanced search, so we're just uploading that saved version, and you can see that we have here 19 materials coming from this criteria that we've added to the advanced search. Please beware, the more criteria you add to the advanced search, the narrower the result will be, which makes complete sense. However, if you add too much criteria, please please understand that the result might be 0. So please start slowly. You can always add more criteria at the end. So we have these 19 materials. Again, we're forwarding these materials to the list builder. Here we go. You can save it, of course. But what you can also do in any result list inside Total Materia, you can actually add columns with properties. They're minimum to maximum properties or approx properties as well. So you can actually see that we're adding some properties with columns, and you can, even before you start comparing them through the functionalities, you can really quickly see here what the minimum to maximum values or approx values that each property gives us. Again, we will select those materials, and then you can start comparing them through our comparison view. You can add here up to 100 materials. You can pin them down, forward them to the report to PDF. You can forward those materials to our comparison view pro, yes, which means you'll be able to select the properties that you want to see. You can even add here in the pro version the compliance information, the regulations, yes. So you can add here, for example, in each column a ROS or REACH, and at the same time you'll be able to see if this material is the most equivalent, but you'll also be able to see if this material that you're using is compliant according to a certain regulation. And then at the same moment, through our analytics view, you'll be able to see which material is the most cheapest as well. All right. Of course, once you've chosen the materials, you can then forward it again to your list builder and then create again a report. Also, we have the property comparison view. So you can actually, through our property comparison view, you can actually add the materials, add those properties that you want to see, and then you'll be able to see the impact, for example, versus the materials. And you can actually see the values of each of the materials and how far they are apart from each other, or how equivalent they are from each other. Also, we have a radar chart, which means you'll be able to make a nice chart through tensile strength, yield strength, and impact, and see at one time the values of each of these properties from these materials. Yeah. So it's kind of a nice colorful picture. Also, we have our analytics, and through our analytics, you can choose the two most important properties to create a diagram inside the solution. So you can say tensile strength versus the yield strength, and then the database will create add properties and then the minimum values of these materials. You can also add, if you want, indicative price. So you can see the indicative prices also of each of these materials through our analytics. And then last but not least, you can also forward all these materials to our compliance assessor so that you can assess at the same time all these materials. You can add the country, you can add the regulation, and in one time you can see if these materials are compliant or are not compliant according to, for example, REACH or ROS or GADSL or a right to know list, whatever you might be needing. All right, we have one more quick thing to say. We also have our smart comp identify a material through a chemical composition. So you can add the chemical composition of the material which you got from your spectrometer. You can add the standard. You can select the base element. You can select the similarity threshold. You can even, if you're lazy like me, import the chemical composition from the Excel sheet if you want, or from a different kind of formats. Press on search and then find those materials that have that chemical composition. You can even forward that list to the advanced search and add some properties to narrow down the result list. All right, that's regarding total materia horizon. Now we are going to go to the next one, the total materia integrator. By the way, before we carry on, if anybody has any questions, please write it down in the chat functionality or in the question functionality, and then my colleague, dear colleague Stefan, will try to answer them as good as possible. Also, if anybody wants to test total materia horizon, if you want to maybe have a personal demo, a training, or if you want if you have any follow-up questions or you want a private session, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to organize this for you. All right, just to take a sip of water. So we just talked about total materia, but we have a lot of other solutions as well. Let's start with the total materia integrator. Total materia integrator is a private materials database. Yes, private data management solution. Here you will be able to add all your private data. You can add your legacy materials, your CAE data, your test data. You can connect your tools with a RESTful API. You can manage all the users, what they're allowed to see, what they're allowed to access, which functionality they're allowed to use. You can also create custom exports as well. You can even add if that internal material of yours is compliant according to regulation. You can also, of course, if you have some security policies, install this integrator on your own server, or we can, of course, also install it on our server here at Total Materia. What you can also do is add approved materials so that the engineers can only see those approved materials. Also, those approved materials, for example, we can add and integrate into the PLM system. Yeah, so this is also possible. And then the engineers can go from the tools that they're using onto the PLM system and then take those approved materials, yes, and then immediately carry on with their work. This will so help their workflow, and they will only find that accurate and reliable data that you allow them to see. All right, not only that you can do, but you can also copy data from Total Materia. So Total Materia has over 700,000 materials coming from reliable sources. So what you can actually do is copy that information and export it, or maybe say import it, into your own private database. You can then put extra information in it, redefine some properties if you want, make it your own, add some documents, and then once everything has been approved, you can then click on it as approved so that the engineers can start looking at it as well. Also, we have a lot of knowledge inside Total Materia and a lot of expertise and a lot of experience. which really will help you in the development of this solution as well. Also, we have a modern, secure IT platform and also a lot of security policies in place as well. Also, we can also add for you a single sign-on solution as well for the whole organization. We have 45 engineers working for us, which means that any support that you need, yes, we are ready to help. If you need help finding material information, if you need help with some development, if you need to import automatically test data inside Total Materia, we can help you organize this. This is not a problem. So, materials management capabilities. So, for example, we can of course add the custom taxonomy for materials organizations. Like I said before, you can add and export test data inside the Total Materia by a drag and drop. It's not a problem. We can also create live links and copy supersets from Total Materia. And because reliable information, you are creating your own approved material, those engineers will have a lot of confidence in their material selection. Also, a very easy bulk data export. This is very important because everything that you put inside Total Materia is yours. It is your data, yes, nobody else's. So if there's a time that you want to export all your data in one time or export the data to a maybe some tool directly, you can do this. It's not a problem. And of course, you can also define your own property. This is also very important because we only have the most common properties, but a lot of organizations out there also define their own properties. So this is something you can add as well. All right, next, recording. Here we go. So this is again a small, very quick recording of our Total Materia integrator. So before we even carry on, let me just show you the differences. Here, you can see here a nice slider from your materials, internal materials, and Total Materia. So you can actually slide to see which of the materials you want to see, internal, both, or only Total Materia. So this is already like the biggest difference that we have from the Total Materia and the Total Materia integrator. All right. Then we're going to add one internal material. So we chose the Inconel 718. This is an internal material which we created inside the Total Materia integrator. We press on search, and you can already see here standard internal material. Yes. Then my colleague who made the recording will click on that material, and then you'll be able to see all the data. Yes. Very important. You immediately see that internal data from the chemical composition, the references, where it came from, and on the right-hand side, you also see immediately all those properties and data that we've added for this internal material, including documents. You can also add your own documents, PDFs, Excel sheets, Word documents inside the Total Materia integrator. Also, on the left-hand side, you see this compliant general. This is a kind of a stoplight solution telling the engineer in one time if this material that they're using is compliant according to a certain regulation. So again, on the right-hand side, you have this fast menu that you can click on, metallurgy data, your own material data. Again, let's quickly click on the documents part, and here you can quickly see those documents that we've added to this material as well. Also, you can see on the right-hand side the extended range, the stress strain diagrams. And this is just an example. What I'm going to show you right now is because there's a little lock here next to the stress strain diagrams. So I'm showing you this on purpose because sometimes you don't want the engineer to see some of the stress strain diagrams. So we can actually block a lot of engineers that don't need this data to see this information. Yes. So this is kind of the management of users, what they're allowed to see. Are they only allowed to see this data, only internal data, only approved data? And this is really important. Of course, at the bottom, you can again add some more compliance data as well. Of course, we also have the material description, but let's go quickly back to the mechanical properties. You can see that if the material has multi-points, we can again make a nice diagram of also those internal materials as well. And of course, you can switch from your internal materials also to our materials within Total Materia. And now you can see that Inconel 718 internal, but also the external data coming from proprietary sources and other standards. So when you press on the SAE standard, you can see it's actually completely different because this is not an internal material. This is coming from the SAE standard. You can see that it's a lot more data, but of course you'll be able to see also other information as well. It's very similar with the total material solution, but with some small changes. All right, the next step is the creator. Creator is a place where you can see the full list of materials. You can, of course, create new materials if you wish and add them, add the properties and values. But here you can also maintain your data as well. You can add material groups, you can add your properties, define your own properties, add those information, and your suppliers, supplier information, call. Also again here the bulk export as well. Just for you to know, we have kind of 3 levels of access to total material. We have the administrator. Administrator is usually the person that gives access to the engineers and gives them access to only those information that they're allowed to see. Then we have power users. Power users are the ones that maybe are editing the data or adding the data or maybe approving those materials that those engineers are allowed to see. And then at the end, we have, of course, the users. The users can only see what they are allowed to see on those values and properties that the power user and administrator gave them access to. But of course, you can also bulk export all this information again in one time on a single format or onto or forwarding this information onto a certain tool. All right, that's the recording. Again, if anybody here is interested in our data management solution, please let us know. We will provide you with a private introduction and a full demo. This is just a very short one, but we can provide you with a full demo and try and solve your internal needs. And of course, maybe talk about further developments or how to insert those materials that you have inside, how to insert them into Total Material Integrator. All right, now we're going to the next steps. Stefan, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to take over now from Tim. We will be moving on to Predictor. This is one of our 2 newest solutions. So Predictor, what is it for? So sometimes you may encounter a certain type of material which may not have type of physical properties or mechanical properties. So what our Predictor does is basically it is an alternative solution for dealing with those missing gaps of information for different materials. So our predictor machine learning models were developed and trained by tapping into and using the entire data scope, which we have available within Total Material Horizon, which Tim showcased at the very beginning, which is actually the largest available data set online. So the value that you can actually gain from Predictor is to help you pull those missing properties of material data to improve the quality of your simulation and also at the same time to help you save time and money on any physical testing which you may be doing. And now what we're going to do is, these videos are very, very short, I promise. So we're going to just take a little bit of a closer look at Predictor in action. So as you can see, what Predictor does is it uses the Total Materia Smart component by importing a previously prepared Excel file, which contains the chemical composition of an unknown material. Of course, you can also import this from a spectrometer. What we do then is we search for a material which potentially matches this imported chemical composition. And as you can see, the material which we found is a cast steel from the Chinese GB standard, which in this case you can see did not have any physical properties. So using our Predictor solution and using the deep learning component of Predictor, it is actually possible to predict certain physical properties at a given temperature range. So here, for example, we're inputting the modulus of elasticity, and we're putting the temperature range between -200°C and 330. And through this, we're able to predict those missing values that we couldn't find on the original material page. So here we have all the different modulus of elasticity values for that particular temperature range, which we have inputted. And also on the very top here, you can also see the accuracy of the given model. So let's quickly explore another example. So in this scenario, for example, we have, we're looking for yield strength values for the aluminum 7075 at various temperatures heat treated at T8. So we can use the curated data of total material horizon. First, define this material by its numerical designation, as my colleague has done, and we explore the data sets which are already available to us. So in the property component, we're looking at yield strength, which is what we're under heat treatment. We can see we cannot find the heat, which is what we are interested in. So using our predictor function, we can actually search for this material using the predictor deep learning component, input all those parameters that we need, as you will shortly see. So apologize, I'm talking a little too fast. So you will see the heat treatment, which is the T8, what we're looking for, and then we're inputting just the values that we need. So whether it's dimension, the form of the product, or in this case, the longitudinal direction, inputting the temperature range which we're looking for, and also clicking on predict. So what you can see here is that we have these list of results, we have our graph, and what we can do is we can add these results to a report builder, and you can actually share this link between your colleagues to really showcase those results and those properties which you were missing beforehand. So it's very, very easy, very simple to use. Again, like Tim mentioned, if this is something you would be interested in, please let us know in the question toolbox on your right-hand side. So that was just a brief teaser into the world of predictor, which for us is also a brand new solution. So moving on to Green Line. And Green Line is also our latest solution. Obviously, as everybody probably knows, compliance is such a huge and important thing nowadays, irrespective of the size of the organization, no matter how big or small you are. And of course, if you end up using any sort of non-compliant materials, this can obviously have very severe and costly outcomes for your organization, no matter if it's an economical or reputational damage. It can be very, very costly. So what does actually Green Line do? Well, it can actually help you validate the compliance of your entire bill of materials, or BOM, as we will refer to it, by helping you carry out a simultaneous assessment for approximately 100 metallic and non-metallic materials against more than 20 regulations which we have available. These, of course, include the major European ones, such as REACH and RoHS, but also GAZL and WEEE, just to name a few. Also, Green Line can allow you to carry out an entire life cycle assessment so that it can actually, you can determine the whole environmental impact of the different materials which you may be using in your project design. And again, we're just going to have two very brief videos. The first one, we begin with the BOM. So again, we're referring to the bill of materials here. We'll just see Green Line in action. So what you can do is you can, basically the BOM assessor tool that we're using, it allows you to quickly assess your bill of materials to help you find those non-compliant components which you may be using. So as you can see here, we previously prepared a BOM list. We inputted basically a previously prepared list, which we're inputting into our BOM assessor. And then we are assessing all our individual components for different world regulations. So in this example on your screens, you can see we have selected the REACH, RoHS, and the California Proposition 65. And we can see that there are 3 components which are actually not compliant to the California Proposition 65. So all this data you can easily export into Microsoft Office Excel, and then you can share this with your compliance team, and they can actually look for suitable alternatives which would be compliant to those 3 regulations which we have selected. Again, very quick and easy. And we've got the LCA analysis. So for those of you that are familiar with that, that's life cycle assessment, where you can actually do where you can actually do a full-on assessment of the environmental impact of a material. So the scope which Greenline covers, and that's something just important to mention, it's from cradle to gate. So I know some people are familiar with cradle to grave, but it's the entire process of cradle to gate. And from this first video that we can see now, you can actually select the list of materials which you would like to assess. You can forward them to the LCA assessor. And here, what we're doing is we're selecting those indicators which we want to use in our assessment. So here we have selected 2 indicators, one being climate change, to actually figure out the CO2 emissions, and the other one is the cumulative energy demand. You can then calculate your results, which my colleague will do here. You calculate the result, and then you get the overall CO2 emissions, which you will have under one column, and then also you will have the cumulative energy demand. You can then rank these, so in terms of from best to worst, you can then export these into Excel, as you will see now. And again, what you can do with this, easily share this with your compliance team or with any other colleagues to really showcase the results of those parameters and show you those materials which are CO2 emissions, which have the lowest cumulative energy demand. So that is kind of the secret or basically the basis of what Greenline is all about. Again, same thing with Predictor. If you're interested in this more, please let us know in the question box on your screens. And Tim will take it over from here again.
There we go. Great work. Thanks, Tim. So just to conclude actually a little bit, so everybody inside the organization somehow needs material information. It's not just only the material experts, but also the CA simulation specialists. They need those advanced properties and non-linear data for their simulators. The CAD and manufacturing engineers, they need to validate product and process capability. Quality departments need sometimes to identify the material through the chemical composition. Yes, they need to control those materials. Product stewards need to see if that material you're using is compliant according to the regulations. And also the purchasing department. They need a lot of times to find equivalent materials, compliant materials, and see which of those equivalent materials are the most cheapest to use. All right. Then last but not least, can you trust in Total Materia? So the answer to that is absolutely. We are the only ones that provide information coming directly from the source, from those standards and from those proprietary sources. We update our database every month of the year. You can see in our on the right side in our tracker data the number of materials updated per month, and we really focus on this because we understand how important it is that you as the engineers find the most updated information available. We're also the ones that are have ISO certified, ISO 9001, 27001, 27701, and we have also the Veracode continuous. So next steps. So of course, we'd love to talk to you about these topics with you as well. We can organize a meeting, a webinar in a private meeting with us to understand your needs. We understand what material information you need, what your needs are. We can, of course, talk about our solution. You can test our solutions. You can explore our features. And then at the end, we will show you how we can solve your material problems, yes, which is really important. Anything you want to talk about us, about the horizon, integrator, predictor, or green line, please let us know. Here is our contact details, my dear colleague Stefan, and my contact details. So if you want to send us a mail or have a call, not a problem, let us know, and we'd love to talk to you about these topics with you. All right, that's it from our side. It's exactly 46 minutes, so 1 minute over time. Sorry about that. But I really hope it was interesting for you. Again, if you need anything, please let us know. And what we'll also do is we'll send you the recording of this session, and we'll also send you the presentation as well. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.